In the book of Enoch and Jubilees and fragments from Jasher, there are references to women in the pre-flood world engaging in practice that prevented pregnancy or destroying their seed. And what we would call like abortion, birth control, or the morning after. And I'm going to kind of break it down what these women were drinking, and it was called a draught, D-R-A-U-G-H-T. Now, what is that? In First Enoch, in the Sefer, we read of forbidden knowledge being taught to women, including, and the women became pregnant, and they bore great giants, and the whole earth has been corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribed all sin. In First Enoch 9:8, the women were defiled, corrupted, and filled with blood. While Enoch doesn't specifically use the word draught, the related text explain what was taught to the women by the fallen ones. In Jubilees 4 and 5, forbidden mixtures and root cutting. Jubilees 4:22 out the Sefer, and the sons of men unto themselves wives, and taught them sorcery and enchantments and the cutting of roots. Cutting of roots is an ancient euphemism for abortifacients, herbs, or potions that destroy the fetus, witchcraft-based birth control, spiritual and physical manipulation of the womb. This would absolutely qualify as what we would call today Plan B, morning after pill, abortion, and even surgical and magical abortion. So back then, when the women were very physically attractive, the men desired them more. And why? Their bodies didn't show signs of pregnancy, so men were more drawn to them. They didn't want a woman that had already had a baby or pregnant. They didn't desire them at all. They wanted women that never had any babies. So these women would take this drought like an alcohol, and they would take it, and it would stop them from even their eggs even coming out. Like they couldn't even ovulate. That's the word I'm looking for. They couldn't even ovulate. So it would stop any way of them trying to get pregnant if they kept drinking this, and the men just desire these women for that. They also engage in vanity and beautification, which was also taught by the Watchers. In First Enoch 8:1, and Mz.JudahQueen taught enchantments and the beautifying of the eyelids. So they taught them how to put on eyelashes, yes, eyelashes, how to make their eyebrows beautiful, how to put on eyeshadow, how to make the sparkles around their eyes. He did all these different beautifications to all these different women for these men that desired them. And he just glamorized them. The fallen angels were so sexually attracted to them because they were vanity and they were unnatural control over reproduction, and they were creating a culture of lust, spiritual corruption, and rebellion. Now let's talk about Lamech and his two wives. The story in Jasher 2 verses 19 through 22 and Jubilees 4, where Lamech had two wives, Adah and Zillah. Let me read that. One wife bore children, the other used a draught to make herself barren, to maintain her beauty and favor. The one who took the potion did not become pregnant, and her body stayed youthful, so Lamech desired her more. This woman's barrenness was intentional, using a form of herbal or magical draught to prevent conception. This is an ancient version of selective fertility for the sake of vanity, lust, and the manipulation. And I believe that's what some of these celebrities are doing, so their bodies don't change. I think that's why they're having like surrogate mothers, so they can have the babies, and they wear these pregnancy things to make it look like they're pregnant, but they're actually not pregnant. They're having someone else have the baby. Now, the spiritual implications then and now. The same spirits that taught root cutting, womb sorcery, abortifacients, vanity, and sexual manipulation are still active today under different names. Reproductive freedom. Isn't that what Kamala Harris was pushing, the reproduction rights? Her and President Biden, they really pushed the reproduction rights and the freedom. And I remember when they were doing their Democratic campaign, and they had the big old convention. Outside their convention, they had trailers of where women could come in and have an abortion for free. So they were promoting unaliving our children. emergency contraception, and empowered sexuality. Yet their origins trace back to the Watchers, whose mission was to corrupt the seed of mankind, specifically to prevent the promised seed, the Messiah, from coming in Genesis 3 and 15. So the ancient term draught or potion was the morning after pill. Now, cutting of the roots is now the herbal abortion or sterilization. Beautifying for lust is sexual sorcery and cosmetic industry. You know, the BBLs and the breast implants and the cheekbones and the big lips and the eyelashes and the, big cheeks, all that. And so these women weren't just making choices, they were being influenced by unclean spiritual teachings meant to destroy the plan of Yahuwah. So we're seeing women doing this in all races. It's not just our black women, but we see women in all races, and we're even seeing men that are transitioning into women that are doing it. So Yahuwah never intended for his daughters to become vessels of lust, vanity, and womb destruction. The drought was a weapon of the fallen ones designed to hinder fruitfulness, exalt beauty over purpose, and seduce men into deeper rebellion. In Genesis 1:28, Yahuwah told us to be fruitful and multiply. In Deuteronomy 30:19, he says, choose life that both of you and your seed may live.